Hey everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. If you guys are new to the channel, do me a favor and hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, and make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content we have coming out. Now, for this video, we are going to be jumping back into the Infinite Frontier with Action Comics Superman issue number 1032. And if you haven't been keeping up with this line, go ahead and check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It will get you completely caught up on everything going on in this awesome line. Now, this is written by Philip Kennedy Johnson. The artist is Daniel Sampere or Sampierre. I'm not sure how that's pronounced. I could be saying it wrong. And the colorist is Adriano Lucas. And what we've seen so far from this story arc is Mongol sending a Warworld ship to Earth. Or at least that's what it appears to have happened. And aboard this ship seems to be a bunch of Kryptonians. Well, at least that's what they appear to be, but they still have further testing to find out exactly where they came from. Now, with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright guys, so as we dive into this issue, we're having Supergirl and Lois have a conversation of exactly where these individuals came from. Because Superman and Superboy just rescued a whole bunch of refugees, is what they appear to be, and they were speaking a more or less dead ancient language. This something only a Kryptonian would actually know about. Now here we have Supergirl referring to them as Philosians. Now these individuals, they were shunned by all of Kryptonian society to a point they actually left Krypton thousands of years ago, and no one really knows what happened to them. And now with Clark finding a group of individuals speaking an ancient dead language that only a Kryptonian would know, putting the pieces together, it seems like these individuals are from that shunned society of Kryptonians. Though they're not necessarily Kryptonians anymore because they've been branched off for thousands of years at this point. But this is when they walk into the room to see Superman and this newfound refugee standing at a standstill. Because right now she is absolutely terrified. But Superman, he tries connecting with her, telling her that she doesn't need to panic, that she is in a safe place, and that he simply only wants to know her name. Because she currently has their house sigil on her skin. And so Superman wants to know, how do you know us? How did you come to know our sigil? And we see a tear run down her face, and she asks, where were you? And of course Superman is confused, but she says that there were thousands of them. Thousands, and Superman never came for them. Even when the Mongol who was killed her parents, and the Mongol who is burned, when he took over, there was still no sign of Superman. But Superman, he apologizes, and he says he promises that no one will ever hurt her again. And he attempts to try to take her chains off, but she freaks out. She panics and tells Superman no. And from her eyes, we see a type of heat vision that is far superior and looks much stronger than Superman's, with a bright blue and almost uncontrollable aspect to it. We see it come blasting from her eyes. Now this was something that was completely accidental, and she immediately apologizes to Clark. But she says, and she pleads with them to not take her chains off, because if her chains are taken off, then he will know. And Lois comforts her, letting her know that it's going to be okay and she can take them off whenever she is ready to. But this is when we pick up with Atlantis. Now the Atlanteans finding the shipwrecked ship in the sea, claiming it as their own, they took this artifact, this stone that was within the ship. And up to this point, they have been studying it for days and days now, trying to figure out as much information as they can about it, being able to siphon off enough energy to be able to power most of Atlantis for a couple of days. Now their mineralogists, they have named this thing Genesis. And this little thing, it holds the power of a star. And he says the visions of a sleeping god. Now this makes Master Volku really question what the heck is going on here. And his guy has been down here for quite some time, and he hasn't left this room in forever. But this is when we see the stone start to activate. It affects this man in some kind of fashion. It affects an Atlantean in some weird way, and we see his body transform. He transforms into some hideous monster of a beast. and he is murmuring some kind of nonsense about being nothing but whispers in his dreams. Now, picking back up with Superman, Lois, and Supergirl, Superman is really beating himself up right now. He feels bad for trying to take her chains, for trying to make her do something she wasn't necessarily ready to do yet. And he's hoping that this doesn't make her shut down completely, hoping that maybe even Lois being able to form a connection with her, maybe she'll be able to do something and talk some kind of sense into her so they can get some kind of answers about exactly what happened to her and the rest of the refugees. But there was something else that she said that really put a light bulb up in his head, because he thinks that Mongol is dead. She said the Mongol who was, and then she said the Mongol who is. And so he said, there seems to be more devotion in his followers, a deeper kind of fear. And so he truly believes that someone new has taken charge. Now, Jonathan, he immediately thinks, this is obviously a trap. Condor is attacked, and then suddenly a handful of refugees, they come to our literal doorstep with stories about Kryptonians enslaved on Warworld. Now, Superman, he's considered this. Is it a trap? Probably, most definitely, yeah, it's probably a trap. But second, if this lost tribe of Kryptonians is actually alive, if there's more of them, and they are actually enslaved on Warworld, it being a trap, it doesn't matter in the slightest bit. Now, this is where we pick up in Gotham City, and Superman is sitting here flying while Batman is trying to take down a bad guy. Superman saying that he could offer a hand here, but Batman tells him no. I got it, this is my town, I don't need your assistance, even though Superman could end this, instantaneously. But Superman, he's come here to ask him for help, not only his, but the Justice League's as well, because right now they're needed on Warworld. Superman believes that Mongol has been overthrown and that the population of a lost Kryptonian colony is currently enslaved there. And so Batman's question is, is this something that your refugees told you? And of course, Batman already knows about them, even though Superman hasn't told him yet. Batman, he gotta keep tabs on everything, so of course he's heard about these refugees. But Superman lets him know, yeah, definitely, the refugees are the ones that told me about this. And Batman's immediate response is, it's a trap, dude. It's most obviously a trap to get you to go to Warworld. And the thing is, if this is a trap, if this new Mongol can subjugate Kryptonians, that would suggest that they don't have all of his abilities. And though they don't necessarily have the same cellular structure as a Kryptonian, it is very similar, and one of them did start to show powers right in front of Superman. And if that is the case, then that means that there is some kind of dampener on Warworld that is stopping all of them from being able to access their powers. Be it some kind of dampener, or maybe the radiation is just off. No matter the case, both of these things should definitely concern Superman before considering going to Warworld. And Batman believes that they need to do more intel, they need to do a thorough investigation before they commit the entire Justice League to going to Warworld. But this is when Aquaman is hailing them away. Superman saying that they're gonna pause this conversation, but he wants to be able to pick up with it later. And that's what will take us to the eastern coast of Florida, where we have this giant beast that was once an Atlantean, now making landfall, about ready to attack the city. And we have Arthur, we have Aquaman, and all of his Atlanteans doing their best to try to take all of these monsters out, but they're not listening to Aquaman's signals. The monsters aren't hailing to him like they normally do. Not only that, but he swears that these things, they seem to be getting bigger. And with Superman making his arrival, he comes flying in and he gives a giant uppercut to this monster. Now this monster, it definitely feels it. And Superman goes to use his cold breath to try to freeze this thing out. But in return, the monster sends a giant Godzilla-like blast right back at Superman. Now, Superman, realizing that he's not going to be able to do this from the outside, he goes flying into the mouth of this monster, flying down his throat into a darkness, only to come across what appears to be some kind of living, thriving city. And this city, it starts to talk to Superman, letting him know that he awaits his arrival, and it claims to be the Metropolis, a place that Superman will soon be, and a place that he has always been. And Superman, he sees these strange markings all over the place. But these markings, they tell a story of one who is gone, but one who must return one day. He whose vision is only matched by his madness, his strength by his wrath. And this thing lets us know that it is the voice with inside the dreams as Superman is and as the beast he faces. Now Superman, he doesn't understand anything that is going on. It is being extremely cryptic, but one thing he does know is that this is not real. This is all an illusion. And we see Superman use his ice breath and start to freeze this giant beast from the inside out. And we see the beast on the outside, he stops moving because his body is freezing up. And within a matter of seconds, his entire body is encapsulated in pure ice. Now, as Arthur and the rest of his forces fight back the rest of these creatures, Superman flies in because he knows that the fragment had something to do with creating these creatures. Because he says it's not just an energy source, it's got to be something more. And Superman lets him know that that fragment, it doesn't belong here and we gotta get rid of it. But before Superman can finish his conversation, he is immediately cut off. He is cut off by Steve Trevor. Now, of course, they ask, why are you even here? But Steve Trevor, he is here gathering as much information about the refugees from Warworld as he can for the US government. And he lets Arthur know that the Atlanteans salvaged some very dangerous materials and that he is here to take it off of their hands. They need to surrender it to the US government. Now, Arthur, he doesn't speak for Atlanteans anymore. He no longer rules Atlantis. So he doesn't really have say on what gets handed over and what doesn't. But he does let them know that they salvaged those ships and what's in them is extremely valuable. But this is something that Steve Trevor, he definitely already knows. But Steve Trevor tells him, without Superman's involvement today, thousands of people would have lost their lives. You guys obviously have no idea what you're dealing with. You have no idea how to control this. And so we need to take it out of your hands so we can contain it because you guys obviously can't. And he tries to tell him that those ships crashed in US waters, which makes it US government property and he needs to hand it over immediately. Now this is where we see tensions start to rise because Arthur, he's obviously going to take this as an insult because while on land dwellers, they may see US waters as something, Atlanteans think that's complete garbage. The waters belong to Atlanteans and that's the end of the discussion. But Steve Trevor, he was given authority to collect by any means, which means that he can use excessive force if it means being able to get his hands on this material. And so he tells Arthur one last time, are you going to surrender? I need your answer. And, Arthur tells him very plainly, as Merc said, I no longer speak for the Atlanteans, but I am confident that my feelings on this matter will be theirs. And so here's my answer. The fragment belongs to Atlantis, and any attempt to try to claim it from another nation will be considered an act of war. And that will be where this issue ends. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I am really still on the fence about this line going on right now. And I'm on the fence about it because, we've seen the story where Kryptonians are introduced in the past. And this is, I believe, is what's going to eventually pull him away to the future state event where we see him on Warworld trying to overcome Mongol and all of his forces, but is essentially thrown into a gladiator rink. And so obviously he gets tricked in some way, shape, or form. These guys may be some kind of ancient Kryptonians, but it really does look like Superman is just getting set up here. And based off of the knowledge we know, we can only assume that this is just going to end badly. But really, what the most enthralling part of this issue for me was the confrontation between Steve Trevor and between Aquaman. Because I absolutely love it. Trevor coming in thinking he has some kind of authority and, Arthur telling him pretty much F you, dude. Like, I may not be the ruler of Atlantis anymore, but I can speak on behalf of all Atlanteans when I tell you, you can go F yourself. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. If you have not yet, do me a favor, hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, make sure you don't miss any of the awesome content we have coming out, and until the next breakdown.